I'm very, very happy to be able to introduce our next speaker now. It's Celestine Akpobari. Celestine is a human rights activist in the Niger Delta. He is the head of community action in War on Want's Partners Social Action in the Niger Delta, and he works to equip communities in the Niger Delta to defend their own rights. Celestine is also the national coordinator of the Ogoni Solidarity Forum and is at the very forefront of the campaign against Shell in the Niger Delta, and in particular to force Shell to clean up the Ogoni environment which it's so damaged. We're very happy to have him here. I should mention Celestine in a previous incarnation was also the regional leader of the Agricultural and Allied Workers Union in the Niger Delta. And he's a fantastic organizer, so I'd like you to give him a big welcome today. We're very happy to have him here. Thank you.
I'm a very short man, so I need to check this. But that is the truth. It is my pleasure to stand before all of you here this morning to share our own experience of the pains and loss that Mr. Eda just talked about. There was something he mentioned in his address. He talked about the corporations that produce arms and they supply to two sides. And that struck something in me, because as I begin to speak, I'll be talking about a company that does not produce conventional arms, like guns, like bombs, but they are in the business of supplying weapons that kill people to two sides. I will be talking about Shell later in my address to you. Like Patrick has said, I come from the Niger Delta, Nigeria. I'm not going to introduce Niger Delta to you. I'm quite sure that almost all of you here know about the Niger Delta region. It should be about the richest in Nigeria. It should be if things were done the way it should. But unfortunately, as we will get to here, and as some of you already know before now, things are not the way it is. Like he also said, I work for social action. I'm an Ogoni. Most of you here know about Ken Saro-Wiwa that was executed on 10 November 1995. I'm from the same home with Ken Saro-Wiwa. And I can say that some of the things we are doing is just to continue from where Ken Saro-Wiwa stopped. He has just told you that we are working to equip community people to stand up against corporations, practices, policies of government that is against the people. One of those things is to stop Shell from resuming oil production in Ogoni. I'm quite sure most of you know that Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered because of that. Well, taking you back, Niger Delta used to be a very rich oil, food and fish center, predominantly have fishers and farmers. Their farmlands used to do well. In fact, Niger Delta used to be a food basket for Nigeria and other regional market. That was before the discovery of oil in commercial quantity in 1968 by Shell. Unfortunately, when Shell discovered oil and told the people lies that their lives were going to be bettered, that they were going to have scholarships, that they are going to build super infrastructure, that people will live like kings and queens, people roll out the drums on the street because a better business was in town, that people were going to be billionaires in dollars, that this farm that keep you waiting from January to December, waiting for your crops to mature, was a tedious way of getting money, and that we will take your oil and make your life better. And they roll out the drums. I'm not just kidding. People actually roll out the drums and declare holidays because Shell was coming. And for the first time, they saw a little tiny road being tarred. They didn't know that that will be the road, the only road they will see. And that road was not to give them a means of transportation, but that road was just to allow the trucks to pass in and come out. And so when the people waited for a while and nothing come out, instead they started seeing that their farmlands were no longer producing. What has happened? Shell had sucked the land. The land was no longer productive. The fishes they lived by was no longer there because the pollutants, the oil pollutions has destroyed everything about fishing business. The mangrove forests that serve as homes for the fishes were going down. And the people now ask, what is happening? You promised us heaven and earth. They said, oh, we paid what belonged to you, to the federal government of Nigeria. And that brings to mind, I would like you to know that when I talk about Shell or the oil business, I'm also talking about the government of Nigeria, because they operate a joint. There are two sides of the same coin. They are two wicked people. Shell will not operate and do the kind of things they are doing in Nigeria without the active connivance of the Nigerian government. They work together. Unfortunately, people that are in government in Nigeria does not represent the people. They represent their pocket. And it's sad. So having destroyed their means of livelihood, having destroyed the source of living like water, having destroyed their farmland, having destroyed everything, the people started resistance by going to a normal court. They thought that Shell is like an ordinary person you can take to court. Instead of confronting the people, instead of responding to what the people were asking for, they prefer to bribe the judges. And they will continue to adjourn the cases until the litigants will die. And the civil society came up and merely were carrying placards. But placards does not move them because they have a mindset to undo the people, to cheat and take away everything that belongs to the people. And that's what I call the civil society face. And that also withered away before Ken Saro-Wiwa started what we call the action phase of the struggle. Of course, that was, even if it was not the action phase of the struggle, it was a non-violent struggle because no stone was thrown throughout Ken Saro-Wiwa's campaign. Ken told us that resistance is not about shooting gun, that it's about the brain, it's about the people, that power belongs to the people. And what Ken did was just to mobilize people, as many as possible. 300,000 people sitting down in one place is an enough battle against the corporations. And that was why the Ogoni people succeeded in taking away Shell from their land, in stopping their operation. No other community in the world has done that before the Ogoni struggle in 1993. And that did not go down well with the government of Nigeria. That did not go down well with Shell. But that did not stop them from continuing with their wickedness. What they decided to do was to teach any other community that we want to do what the Ogoni people have done, a bitter lesson. And what did they do? They decided to kill everybody that was connected with that campaign, including Ken Saro-Wiwa, who I don't know how to describe him. And that was to pave the way for glaring wickedness of Shell. They started unleashing every pocket of evil they have in their pocket on communities. In 1990, they wiped away a community called Mochem simply because community people protested with placards to their gate to ask that, hey, you promised us water when you came here. Now you have destroyed our only means of livelihood. Our water is gone. Please, can you give us water? And they quickly called in the military. They shot every person that came to do protest. They killed the traditional ruler, burned down the community. They did that in Ogoni. Then the community that has brought me so much pain is that of Rumwekwe. And that is where I will be, summarizing my discussion this morning because I have just a few minutes. Rumwekwe is a small community with 4 giant oil companies. They have about 150 to about 15 to 20,000 people that live in that community. You have Shell, you have Ajib, you have Total Fina F. I think that kind of small community should be like a small London in Africa. It should be, because they have general companies. But acting the script that brought them to Africa, which is profit, 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 profit. They went in there and ensured that the community were divided between themselves, factions, created factions in the community, and supported all with arms. As we speak, there is no single one building standing in that small community called Mwekwe. What a wicked company. And you ask yourself, some of the things you read on the pages of paper and watch on television, you ask yourself, is this true? Can this be true? Yes, it's true. Because I begin to imagine, how can I come to operate in a company, in a community, and the community people have been killing themselves and I don't care about it? They didn't stop there. They ensured that every building in the community was brought down in 2005. It started from 2003. By 2005, not a single soul was living in that community. And oil production did not stop for 1 second. It was in 2010, after 5 years, that Social Action, the organization I work for, decided to look for community people in the places they are taking refuge. We ask ourselves a question: how can we sit by to watch Shell continue to bleed the community while community people that own the land have been chased away and they don't care, and the government don't care? You begin to, is there government in this place? People that has the place are out. You don't care about where they are. You don't care about their children, whether they go to school or not. And we decided looking for them. What is the problem? By then, there was no more strength to fight. And we brought them together. Unfortunately, it was an occasion I would not describe here because it was an emotional meeting that we had, where for 5 years, some family have not seen it. It was the first time they were seeing one another. And they hugged themselves to tears. We were deceived by Shell. We were deceived. It was then we knew that it was Shell that had been arming all the factions. They provided money and arms for all the factions. There is a particular family that has 2 brothers from the same mother in different groups, and on one occasion they met and almost killed themselves. But it was at that occasion, and we reconciled them, and we were planning to allow them return home. When our resources, because we work with very limited resources, when we didn't have enough money to follow up, we thought that the community people were back home. So on one of my trips, when Patrick visited Nigeria to Warri, I decided to take him down. With so much pride in my mind, I said, let me show you a community we reconcile and they are back home. I was happy that Patrick would see a community of people. We were shocked when we got to the community. It has grown bushy again, with guns everywhere. I decided to call them, what is happening? And they told me the story, that Shell was not happy that they are back, that they have started importing people to chase them out of the community, but they are here to chase them away. And we were asking ourselves, why would Shell want community people out of their land? It was at that point that Patrick and Sarah from Platform asked me to invite community people. They will want to see the community people. And we have to take the pains in getting across to them and brought them back in a community town hall meeting where Patrick and Sarah addressed them and we addressed them. It was at that meeting he made a promise that one-on-one will support social action to ensure that we continue consultation to the point where everybody will return, that they won't like any person to be chased away from their community anymore. And I promised Patrick that we were going to do something. So after Patrick left, for the first time in my life, the work I do, we don't talk with oil companies, we don't talk with government, because we see them as same. But because of my discussion with Patrick, we have commenced engagement with government, and for the first time since 2005, government officials will be stepping into Rumwekwe. We are working very hard in ensuring that the people come back to their community. We are working very hard in ensuring that government presence, like schools, the health system, and some roads, markets are given to the people. But that will not be possible excepting people like you continue to support the kind of work that one-on-one will be doing in that place. It is not something I will tell you in 10 minutes, but it is huge. If the people will come back, if the 15,000 people will come back to their community, we need to do extra work. We must commit time and resources into active follow-up, because Shell, they are not sleeping. I am told that they have also recruited some fake NGOs that will come around to begin to polarize the community again, but we won't give them that opportunity. Unfortunately, it is not every family that left Rumegbe that will be coming back. You all know how terrible the days are. Some communities where these men ran to, some young men in that community, because they have the means, have taken over the wives of some of these men. Their children, their female girls have become food to the young boys because, I mean, they are hungry. They don't have anything to do. So the earlier we come together in bringing them back, the better for all of us. I would like to see Rumegbe people come back. I would like to see life flourish again. I would like to see their children go to school. I would like to see them go back to their farming business again. I would like all of us to support the campaign for cleanup of the mess that Shell has created in the Niger Delta, which will not be alive to see community people who own their land leave the community for a corporation that does not care about the people, for a corporation that does not care about the environment. We need all of you to stand up and support the work we do. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Celestine. And I should say, I think